I'm Lawrence, and welcome to this graphic design class 2.0. First of all, we're going to be looking at the interface of Photoshop. When you've installed Photoshop, you'll launch the icon, come here and look for it and launch it. Give it some time to boot up. Once it's done loading, this is what you see, this interface you see. Yours might not be like mine because I've worked on recent files. These are where your recent files will appear. Let me just make it look like how yours will look like. Come to recent and clear recent file list. Okay, this is how yours will look like when you launch the Photoshop. So this is the home page of Photoshop. So as you look at the top part here, this is your menu bar, and you can look at this as your quick option to launching a design or starting a new project or opening a previously saved project. So when you look here, this is our menus bar up here. Then you can either come here and drag it in a previous Photoshop file or project that you're working on and launch it and continue from where you stopped, or you can just simply come here and click on create a new file or open a new file. So let's create new. So when you press on create new, this is the default window that will open. Then you can see a list of stuffs up here. This contains different presets in which you can use for your design. There are different presets of designs that you can use. As you can see, if you're working on a A4 design, you can see A4 template here, and there are different templates if you scroll down and looked at them. So simply, we're just going to be creating a 1080 by 1080, and I want to work on that. You come to this part here, under here, and you see width and height. So when you want to work on a design, you set your width and height to the desired width and height you're going to use for the design, or the desired width and height or dimensions that is required from your client. So when you click on width, you set your width to 1080 and your height to 1080. You set your standard dimensions to pixels. There are different options here. You can say pixels, inches, centimeters, millimeters, but I usually use pixels most. So you can see this option for orientation. If you desire to make your work in a portrait or landscape, or probably you're working on a design and you want a wider space, like if for example a banner, you can choose to click on this here and make it in landscape or portrait. So you can set a resolution to 300. Standard resolution for print type of project, like a flyer that you print or a design you print, is 300, or you can take it higher a bit, but don't take it too higher because it will maybe make your system slow down a little bit depending on how your system works on and how fast the system is. And standard resolution for web is 72. So we're going to be using 300 for this tutorial. You can see your color mode here. You can see your background content. Maybe you want your background color to be white or black, you can choose and change the color you want, and so on. Click on OK. So you can see it's set to custom, or you can just drop down this menu. You can see background color white and so on. So your color profile, don't touch any of those, just leave them. We'll click on create. So click on create. This is the windows we'll meet. Photoshop will create a new windows with this is our Windows tab here. So this is our workspace. This white background is our workspace. Let us take it as small as like a paper on our table. If you zoom out, putting Control minus, you can see it's just like this page here. This part you're seeing here, this black part is just like your table, and this white background here is like a paper on your table to do a work or a design. Maybe you're an artist and you prefer drawing, and you can just place a paper on your table and start drawing. So that's how it works. So zooming back, and when we look up here, as I said, this is our menu bar, then this is our option bar or slash control panel, and this is our Windows bar. Let me show you. Let me create a new file, and you see another. This is where our work will be placed. As you can see, this is our Windows bar. You can toggle between windows by clicking on the desired windows you want to work on. So let's go back to our first one, and when we look here, this is our tools bar. This is our tools bar. Let me reset my Photoshop so that it look as yours. This is the default window you get when you open your Photoshop, because on default Photoshop will leave it for you at essentials. You can choose the one you want. So when you come here, you can see here your toolbar, you can see your move tool here, you can see Photoshop gives you a preview of how you can use the tool and the shortcut key for the tool. And you can see your rectangular mark tool, you can see your lasso tool, you can see your quick selection tool, your crop tool, your frame tool, your eyedropper tool, your spot healing tool, your brush tool. When you look at this, when you click on a different tool, you notice the option bar changes. Because every tool has different function and different things they can do. Like for example, your move tool, you can see different options here. Your click eraser tool, you can see for setting the size of the brush, whether you want it big or small, and the hardness of the brush. You can change it. Maybe you want a pencil mode, or change the opacity of the eraser, and so on. That's what the option bar gives you on each tool. And when you will notice a small arrow pointing downward under each tool, but not all tools have them. You can notice it. This is showing that there are other options under this tool. You can either choose to right click on this and to expand this, or you can long left click on this and it will open this for you. So once you have done that, so you can see this is our history brush tool, you can see our eraser tool, you can see our gradients tool, which under we can see different other tools there. So these are all tools that we use in Photoshop. You can see our pen tool is our pen tool for working on designs. As you can see, I can create a wavy line if I want and join it, and simple, I've created a design. And when you're working on a shape, you click on it to make it a shape before you start working on your design, so that it will fill it with the desired color you want. As you can see, join it and fill it. Simple. You can come here and change the fill and so on, and that's how it works here. So you can see our type tool. Want to work on the type, you click here and just type whatever you want. If you notice the options bar, it opens different options for you. You can see for changing the font, changing the style of the font, changing the size of the font, and aligning of your text. And when you're done typing your text, you can just click on this tick mark to place your text on your design. So that's all, and very simple. And you can see your direct or path selection tool under it. You can see your direct selection tool under it. This is your direct selection tool. You can see your shape tool, where you can use to create shapes. Under it, you can see different options: ellipse, triangle. You can use to draw different shapes, and you can even use to draw a star. But just clicking on triangle tool and just clicking once on the background, it's open an option for you. So you can see, very simple. So once you have done this, I want to just draw a simple triangle, and boom, simple. I've placed a triangle, and to change by color, give it an orange feel, and simple. Then I can go back to my move tool and move it around the way I want. So when we look at here, this is your foreground and background color. This one is your foreground. When you click on it, you can set it and change colors depending on what you want. And this one is your background color. So you can change them wherever you want, and you can swap them here with this tool here, or you can just make them default black and white by clicking on this here. So we're done with this left part of our Photoshop. Looking onto the right part of Photoshop, this is our other panels, because Photoshop is designed in a panel design pattern that each of them are different panels arranged together in one software, like in one workspace that you are working on. As you can see, you can detach this out of the design. You can see this is a panel. You can detach it if you want, and you can place it back if you want. You can place it back. See it here. Place it back and expand it. So very simple. You have placed it back here, so we can see color swatches. Color, this is almost the same thing with your foreground and background color that we have seen below here. So we can see, you can change the color. If you change the color here, you can notice the color here is changing at the bottom, this color here. So this is our swatches. For every color you've used, there's a color swatch that's been created here for the previous color, so that you don't have to go back and change the color. Let's say I want to change this to a red color, just simply click on this red and it changes the color for me. So that's how it works. So you can see our gradients here. This is a list of gradients. Photoshop 2021 offers you with different gradients on their software. You can see these are different gradients you can use for your design. And click on this, you can see I've changed the gradients of these. There are different gradients under different colors. You can see we have basics, blues, purples, pinks, different colors contain different gradients. And you can see pattern and so on. So here is our properties bar. As you have seen in this properties bar, it allows us to make changes to a selected object on our workspace here. Let's say when you click on this, it's nothing, but you can see whether you can change it in portrait or landscape. When we click on these parts that we drew with our pencil, you can see different options for it. So when we come to our adjustment layer, this is when you're working with a photo. I want to change the color and hue and brightness of your design. You can come here and change it. Then you can see libraries and so on. So when we come here, double click on this, you can say this is our layers panel. When you notice that this, let's drag this up a bit so that we can have space here. You can notice here, you can see this is our triangle that I've created. Let's click on it on the layer panel. You see to select here on your workspace. You can see the text we added. You can see the text we added here. You can see the shape we added with our pencil, and you can see our background. This is layers. The way layers works in Photoshop, layers has a top-down mentality in a way that whatever you place on top stays on top of what you have created before. Like you can see, this shape stays on top of the background. The text stays. Let me change the color of our text so that you can see what I'm talking about. The text stays on top of this part we created with, or shape we created with our pencil, and this triangle we created stays on top of this letter and the shape we created with our pencil. That is how layers work, and it's best that when you're working with a design, you align layers so that when you're working in design and probably you mistakenly made a mistake on that layer working on, you can just simply make a mistake on the layer working on. You have to go back and keep pressing Ctrl Z and probably have to delete and start all over again, or you can just simply create a new layer by clicking this plus icon here and starting a new painting on this so that you won't affect what you're working on. So that's how layer works in design. So for exporting, when you want to save your project, you come here, come to your file, click this file menu. All this menu bar has different options. As you can see on the screen, those bar, you can activate different panels in your, maybe you're working on character. You can see I've activated these character panels under this panel here, as you have seen here. So when we want to save, we just come to our file, then we click on save. So once you click on save, a window will open asking you where you want to save your project, what you want to save it as. So we'll come to, I want it on my desktop. Come to my desktop and I'll change the name maybe to say JDC 2.0. And okay, so you can change it. You can see here there are different options to save it, either as a project file. At default, it's best to save your work as a project, so we'll click on Photoshop and we'll click on save. You click on save, and to give you this option, just leave it as you see it and just click on OK. It automatically save your project for you. Once you save it, you just for it to just come here and locate your design, and when you scroll down, you can see it here. This is your work. This is all for the interface of Photoshop, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.